OnlyFans recently made headlines for its decision to ban adult content for its platform. Whilst not all of us are on OnlyFans, it does highlight part of the risk of operating as a content creator or a business on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and others. Let's chat. Hey, what up? It's your boy MobbJustice back again with another video, and for today we are talking about what the OnlyFans debacle could potentially mean for you as a content creator, perhaps a business that is investing in content. As always, this video is brought to you by the team over at Liyon Media. Head on over to check out some of the crispiest photo, video, and audio content. That's www.lionmedia.com. Head on over, check it out, and just see what the team can do for you. Now, we've done some previous videos around content creators and some of the trends when it comes to platforms, and I think this particular video follows nicely on from the last video that we did around the rise of short form video. The fact that content creators and businesses have to be grappling with changing trends all the time. Now, before we get into the news of what actually happened with OnlyFans, we have to explain what OnlyFans is. If you don't know, OnlyFans is a platform that helps to support creators and their endeavors. You can subscribe, and then for a weekly, monthly, whatever the fee is, you can have exclusive content coming from a content creator. There's lots of people that are there, chefs, personal trainers, artists, that type of thing. So just an ability for content creators to be able to make money from the work that they produce. The service typically has competed with the likes of Patreon, as well as things like Buy Me a Coffee. In today's society, when you speak about OnlyFans, the reputation of the platform is around adult content. Adult stars ended up getting onto the platform as a way to monetize the content that they were producing, and have actually helped to build the platform to where it is today. And that's the reputation that OnlyFans has, despite it starting out servicing other types of content creators. And that leads us on to the news where the crux of the matter is. Last week, OnlyFans came out saying that they would ban adult content on their platform, citing the fact that some of the people that they work with, specifically their banking partners, were not comfortable being part or being associated with adult content. At the same time, we have to remember that from a business point of view, this is a startup that is chasing a $1 billion valuation, otherwise known as being a unicorn, right? So you have all of these competing interests where people want to invest in the platform, they see the potential, but don't necessarily want to be associated with adult content. Without getting too deep into the morality of adult content, what you believe in, what you don't believe in, we have to admit the fact that OnlyFans is where it is today because of that content, and it is quite trashy for them to actually alienate the demographic that got them to where they are. And unlike other startups, yes, they're chasing a $1 billion valuation, but for a company that's been around as long as they have, and for their size, they've got scale. At the same time, they are generating a lot of cash. I think I saw numbers 130 million dollars in cash that they are producing, so their business is in a good place. Now, within the space of a week, OnlyFans has actually backtracked on its decision and says that it's going to continue business as usual. This is mainly because of the backlash that the company has received. But this entire saga highlights for content creators and businesses the issue of platform risk. And that's basically where, if you bank or invest in a particular platform, you always need to be cognizant of the fact that at some point, because you don't necessarily control or own the platform, they might switch up, they might change on you. And we're seeing stuff like this happening all the time. If you look at 4 of the biggest social media platforms out there, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube, you'll see that these are platforms that are ruled by algorithms that can change at any time. Organic reach, or basically if you have 2,000 followers, the idea or the theory is that if you post something, it should be seen by all 2,000 of your followers. And that is not necessarily the case when you look at how the different platforms work. If you look at Instagram and Twitter, for example, back in the day, they used to have a chronological timelines, chronological feeds. But now, those two platforms serve you content based on what they think is popular and what they think you would be interested in, which is why you might see a tweet or an Instagram post from 3 days ago, but there's one from today that comes down, later on, because there's an algorithm that's deciding that. At the same time, when you look at a platform like YouTube, once upon a time, subscribers were the big thing on the platform. How many subscribers you have. If you have 1 million subscribers, you put up a video, 1 million people, get served that video. They don't have to watch, but at least you know that there's 1 million people that are made aware on their timeline of your video. But now, all of those suggestions, what comes up on your YouTube homepage, depends on what you're watching. It depends on the watch time of videos that are being created. What are people interested in? How much time are people searching for particular topics? All of these different factors. So if you had been a person who was there trying to build their subscriber base, that's not necessarily as important as it was back in the day. The other piece of the debate to consider is around censorship online. Whilst back in the day there was a lot of freedom of speech in online spaces, over the last couple of years the rise of misinformation and fake news, that type of thing, has led the likes of Google, Facebook and others to actually monitor the content that is on their platform. A good example of this in the current environment is information around vaccines for COVID-19. Very good that a lot of countries are trying to push COVID-19 vaccinations, but trying to find alternative views around the efficacy of vaccines and all of that, whether very wild or very accurate, is hard to find, because it sort of goes against what content moderation policies, think or feel, on online platforms. So if you're a person who happens to say the wrong thing on a certain platform, you can get your content taken down, or you can have your entire presence, your channel, your profiles getting taken down from these platforms. This issue of platform risk is something that we as Liyon Media have been quite acutely aware of over the last couple of years. We started out back in the day primarily, on YouTube and also on Facebook, but over the years have had to diversify the way that we serve content, because the different algorithms, the different guidelines, and the rules around the platforms, they change and evolve over time. So for example, these videos that you're watching right now, I started out putting them out first on YouTube, but the algorithms change and you don't necessarily get seen as much as we did back in the day. So that's led to an evolution of the strategy, which is why I post these same videos on Facebook, on Instagram, as well as YouTube, together with previews on LinkedIn, because the issue is, as a content creator, do you want to be a content creator or do you want to be a YouTuber? Because if you want to be a YouTuber, then it's fine. You can go ahead and sit and battle with the YouTube algorithm. But if you're there to be a content creator, then your issue is about how best do you get the content in front of people. Now, coming back to OnlyFans, though they've backtracked on their decision, they might as well have just kept quiet, because I think they have actually lost a lot of credibility in their community, and particularly around the demographic and content creators that help them to get to where they are. Because though they have backtracked, who's to say that in future they won't pivot? They've already shown their hand. Moving forward, I really do think that as content creators or businesses, we need to take more ownership around our own platforms. Go and register your own domain or website. At least have something of your own that you can direct people to. People that have been quite successful tend to have their own merchandise and that type of thing that they sell on their own platforms. Maybe even host your own podcasts, host your own photos, your own videos, on your own platforms. You might not necessarily get the millions of views and likes that you see on the mainstream platforms, but if at least you can use those mainstream platforms to direct traffic to properties online that you do own, that might be a better strategy and a way to mitigate risk on the online spaces. In conclusion, I do think that OnlyFans comes out of all of this with its reputation tarnished, particularly around the content creators that help them to get to where they are right now. They've shown that they could change or switch up how their platform works in future, which does not bode well for the security of content creators on the platform. If you're a content creator, just be aware that platform risk is a thing. Make sure that you use the platforms to your advantage, because at the end of the day, these platforms don't exist without the creators that are there creating the content. But at the same time, they do have a lot of power within them. So make sure that you study the system, look at the different platforms, what can they do for you, and then make sure that you are doing everything that you can to grow your own platforms going forward. What do you think of all of this? Do you think OnlyFans was making the right or the wrong decision? Have you experienced some of the changes as a content creator when it comes to the likes of Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and others? What do you think of all of this stuff? Did you even know that all of this stuff is happening, or did you still think that having lots of followers or lots of subscribers was still a good way to gauge the success? You can let us know in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
This is Muffs Too Much, and you're watching MobbJustice TV. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We're there on YouTube. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe.